Thanks for showing up on short notice, all of you. A lot's happened in the last few days in terms of putting our roster together, and we figured it'd be a good time to bring everyone up to speed. I will start with a bit of bad news. I know some of you have probably seen reports regarding the health of Nikita Kucherov. Unfortunately, Nikita has a hip injury that will require surgery. He's scheduled to have that surgery next week. And unfortunately, that will mean that he will not be available to play during the regular season this upcoming year. Our hope, and it's a realistic hope based on the expected timeline of recovery for this type of surgery, is that he would be ready for the playoffs. So those are the cards that we've been dealt. No one loves playing hockey more than Nikita Kucherov. I know how much it pains him that he will be missing the regular season. I also know how hard he's going to work to get back as soon as possible. And now it's our job as a group, players, coaches, management, to get ourselves into the playoffs so that we give Kuch an opportunity to compete this year and help us defend the Stanley Cup championship as we're chasing another one. So that is the first bit of information, and probably the biggest piece of information coming out of today's media availability. So that's the bad news out of the way. The good news is, as you've seen, we've been able to reach contract agreements with Eric Chernak, Jan Ruta, Matthew Joseph, Alex Volkov over the last couple of days, which would leave Anthony Cirelli as really the only reserve list player that we've been trying to sign for this upcoming year. We have the general framework of an agreement with Eric as of right now. So we know what the cap number is going to be. We still have some details we need to iron out, and either later today or tomorrow, we should be able to do that and send out a press release with more information. But essentially, we have everyone signed that we wanted to have signed prior to the start of the season. And now we're working on getting everyone in town that isn't already here so that they can participate in training camp. And because of Nikita's injury, and obviously there's no good news out of that injury, but it will allow us to use the long-term injury exemption to bolster our salary cap. And based on how we can manipulate the numbers to make it all happen, and now knowing what the cap numbers are for Cernak, Ruta, Volkov, Joseph, and Cirelli, we are, as of right now, in a position to be cap compliant already for the start of the season. That being said, I don't necessarily like how there are many ways to get there. I don't necessarily like any of them, or they're certainly not optimal. They would leave us with very little flexibility. It would also require placing some players on waivers that I would rather not do that with them, even though it would create a little bit of cap space for us. I don't think it's the right thing to do in this situation. So I will still be exploring opportunities to unload some salary and create a little more flexibility for us. But at least as of now, I know that worst case, we can go into the season, we're going to be cap compliant. We've been able to sign everyone we wanted to have signed, and we're going to be able to ice a really competitive hockey team this year and chase another championship. So it all starts with us having the need to have a really good training camp, make sure we're ready to compete and win games on January 13th, which is our season opener against the Chicago Blackhawks. And we need to, from day one, be putting more points in the bank in order to, earn and secure a playoff berth for our franchise. So that's the gist of what I had. I don't know if you have any specific questions or if there's details you would like me to elaborate on. I will throw it out to questions. It's not, my understanding is that it's not directly tied to the injury he was fighting throughout the playoffs. That was a groin injury, and he didn't really have any issues with his hip at the time. He first reported this hip discomfort, I believe it was on December 3rd, and we got him a consult at the time and a rehab program, and We were fairly optimistic that would be, especially with the time he had to get ready for the start of the season, that he should be able to rehab and not need any further treatment beyond that. Unfortunately, no, the treatment protocol didn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work. It included getting a cortisone injection, and as things were not progressing positively in this case, and as Nikita continued to fight through the discomfort and the pain when he was skating, we got another consult this week with Dr. Kelly out of New York, and everyone felt that it was the best thing to do was to have the surgery now. It's similar surgery to what Braden Point had not that long ago, and Yanni Gourde before that. And we expect Kuch to make a full recovery, just like those two players did. Dr. Kelly felt that with this type of injury, the sooner in your career you have the surgery, the better the likelihood is that you will come back just as good, if not better than ever. So with that, factoring that and the fact that it was looking like it was going to be impossible for Kuch to fight through 4 months of this and then playoffs, we felt the timing was best to have the surgery now. Well, I've chatted with Tyler a few times throughout the summer, so he is he understands the cap situation that we were in, and to a certain extent that we are still in. Tyler Johnson's a really good player. The reality is, not that long ago, he scored 27 even strength goals in a single season. He just won the Stanley Cup playing on the second line of our team. And prior to the resumption of play, I had a number of teams call me with regards to interest in Tyler Johnson. Not that I was shopping him by any stretch. I was telling everyone the same thing. I know after the season, I'm going to have to unload some payroll, some contracts, and I don't know yet who I'm going to move. And that was a consistent message I conveyed to every GM that called me at the time. But some of them still mentioned, well, in particular, we have interest in Tyler Johnson. 3 teams specifically mentioned his name during the pause. Well, that was before we knew the scale of the pandemic. That was before we knew the scale of the damage it was going to do to revenues in our business. That was before we knew we had a flat cap and that it was going to be flat for the foreseeable future. So when we came back to Tampa after the playoffs, and I started calling teams back, those teams, 2 of them no longer had, it just didn't work for them anymore. Their interest had gone away. And a 3rd team still had interest, but they didn't have sufficient cap space. And we looked jointly at maybe getting a 3rd party to broker a deal, eat some of the cap space, and move Tyler to that specific team. But it was just so expensive, it just ended up being not feasible. So, like, if Tyler Johnson is on my team to start the year, I think that's a good thing, because Tyler Johnson's a good player. He's going to help us win hockey games, and ultimately that's what I want to do. I don't foresee any, like, Tyler is a professional. We have a long-standing relationship. As I've mentioned, I've talked to him a few times throughout the offseason. I know obviously he doesn't want to be traded. That's not his preference, but he understood the situation. When I met with him initially, he was courteous and professional and understanding. Obviously not happy. I didn't expect him to be happy, but he handled the whole thing as best as anyone could have. And again, I don't foresee any issues with him starting the season on our team and playing on our team going forward. I'd love to have answers for you, because that would mean that I have answers. As of now, we don't. All our focus was as a league on putting in place whatever protocol we needed, whatever rules we needed in order to hold a season, an NHL regular season during the 2020-2021 campaign, always being cognizant of a very important partner of ours, which is the AHL, which is a feeder system for our players. Now that we've kind of settled on the rules for what the NHL is going to look like this year, a lot of the general managers, I would say all of us, have turned our attention to a number of things, one of which is trying to find solutions for the AHL and the feeder system for our NHL. And we don't have answers yet. And I'm not sure that there is a blanket solution that will be workable for all 31 clubs. There are 31 clubs with 31 different realities, different ECHL partners, different geographical elements that need to be factored in for call-ups and quarantine rules, different ownership structures. So it is very complex. We know it is a priority because training camp is going to end on January 12th, and we need to have a place to place our players. So I know we've had a lot of conversations between the general managers collectively in smaller groups and with Bill Daly and Colin Campbell at the NHL level. We don't have a firm plan yet, but it is obviously something that is tremendously important to our league and tremendously important to our organization. We have a great relationship with Howard and Syracuse and with the Crunch, and I am grateful for it because these have been challenging times, and it's nice to know that we're working together here and trying to find a solution that works best for everyone involved. Teams lose high-end players every year. It's part of the challenge of winning at the NHL level. The competitive balance is tremendous in our league. It has for a number of years now, and it's a grind to make the playoffs. It's certainly not easy. Every year we have good teams that miss the playoffs. We missed the playoffs in 2017 with a really good roster. We saw it last year with the bubble. One of the things we learned from the bubble, or confirmed with the bubble experience and expanding the playoffs to 24 teams, is that 12th seed in the conference is not that far off from the top teams in the standings in terms of competitiveness. And if I recall, I think both 12 seeds win, and one of the 11th seeds won their play-in series last summer. So it's not going to be easy. It wasn't going to be easy even with Kuch in the lineup, and now it's more of a challenge. But from my conversation with a number of our players over the last few days, although it wasn't official at the time that Kuch was going to be missing the regular season, the mindset of the players as a whole, and the hunger and the how excited they are to get a chance to chase another cup and go back to back, which is a really rare feat in our league and quite the accomplishment. I've just been really struck by how positive everyone's mindset is, and I like where everyone's head is at right now. I'm still going to continue to explore freeing up some cap space. I have some ongoing conversations with a few teams, and I will continue to explore those. But at least now I know that if none of those trade talks come to an agreement, at least we'll be able to be cap compliant, and that roster is going to include a lot of really good players, some high-end players. And when I look at the team on paper, it's a really competitive team. Now we just have to go out there and do it on the ice.